folks listening in, as we're sort of in this middle ground between people obviously trying to feel better, to reduce, as you mentioned, weight, blood pressure, blood sugars, support cognitive health, even starting with tests, like whether it's blood tests or physical tests that you might do if someone comes in. What are you looking at that says, okay, this number here's, or these constellation of numbers are letting me know that you're not aging well, we've got to do something?
Well, we always go first at the 6 normals plus 2. So
Yep.
your blood pressure. So they're simple.
Mm-hmm.
It's your stress level. We have a measure of stress as well, perceived stress scale, and we also have a measure that looks at your vocal cord sensitivity. So most sensitive in your muscle in your body to stress is your vocal cords, and you vary the frequency with the same letter the more stressed you are.
Interesting.
So we can look at a measure of stress. You look at blood pressure. You want it below 125 and below 85. We look at LDL cholesterol, apolipoprotein B. Apolipoprotein B integrates the particle number, as well as the particle size, and you want it below 70 milligrams per deciliter. We look at fasting blood sugar, hemoglobin A1C. You want the fasting blood sugar to below 100 and the hemoglobin A1C to below 5.7. We look at the cotinine level, which is tobacco end products, whether from first, second, or third degree tobacco or vaping, and we look at the particle size you're involved in.
Mm-hmm.
We look at your body mass index or your height to weight ratio. You want your height to be more than 2 times your waist size, or your waist to be less than half your height size,
Mm-hmm.
or your body mass index to be less than 27. We look at a number of inflammatory markers. So a highly specific C-reactive protein, TMAO, MPO, and IL-6 give you different measures of where the inflammation is occurring and what's occurring, but inflammation, reducing that. We look at speed of processing games and your speed on those, as well as sleep. And we go through a number of areas of unforced errors. So, and reviewing those to make sure you're not texting and driving, or texting and walking, etc.
Mm-hmm.
That's the major unforced error now, as well as if you're doing sports outdoors, that you're wearing a helmet when it's appropriate to do so, etc. So,
Yep.
those, we go through those basic 6, and the plus 2 are see a primary care practitioner once a year at least, to get those values and to review
Yep.
where you are and what your preventive care techniques are, and then including sleep and food, portion size, time of eating, etc., your stress management techniques, your posse, your passion, finding your motivation, and then the other first thing we do in that sequence is also look at, if you will, are your immunizations up to date?
Yep.
Because getting the flu, getting whooping cough causes enormous inflammation, which can rupture plaques and is a major cause of heart attacks and strokes.
Fantastic.
So,
With
so
those
I've given you more,
yeah.
Mark, than you've gotten. How do I manage patients? I mean, I'm impressed. You've gotten everything I know out of me practically.
Well, this is great. I mean, clients are going into their docs, they're getting these numbers. We know that people are struggling with weight gain, hypertension, they're not sleeping long hours, people in midlife, kids at home caring for older parents, stress levels are high. And so these markers are off. And then it becomes a question of, in the busyness and madness and hecticness of whether it's 40s, 50s, 60s, beyond, how do we start to integrate these things? And you've obviously got a lot of great solutions, 190 different solutions. Where do we start with some of these things? What are some of the ones where in that group of 190, where would you go first for clients?
We usually start with what the patient is willing to do that they like doing. So this is not castor oil. This is sunshine.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to find things you love that love your body back. That's especially true with food. So, for example, you may not like walking, but you may like playing ping pong, or you may like gardening. or you may like something else. We
Dancing,
try and
etc.
find what the person loves to do and then get them to do that if it loves them back. And so, but if they don't, but we usually start with general physical activity because one, everyone knows that's important, and two, it's a relatively quantifiable with the wearables and other things. I mean, yeah, every
Yeah.
phone has the general physical activities on it, and and get them to 10,000 step equivalents
Hmm.
over a 2 month period. And then we will add, and they will feel better with that. And then we'll
100%.
start to add other things. And usually we'll try and get them to do three things at once, one of which is pick a supplement, one of which is general physical activity, and one of which is find a food they enjoy that is good for them, and substitute that for something there that doesn't love their body back.
That's great. I like that idea of being able to allow them to select so that there's more buy-in in the
Yeah.
situation,
Now
and
the
being
other
able to,
thing I got to tell you,
yeah, jump in.
what I found recently is the other thing is as people get older, it's tough to,
Mm.
if you will, cultivate your friends, and because you lose when you're young, you got teams and work, etc. But
Yep.
you lose friends as you get older. So we often get them to use their cell phone in a in a remote way with their earplugs in, if you will, so they can focus, if you
Yep.
will. But use their cell phone to call friends as they're doing their general physical activity, if it's just walking or something that is, that they can do that, or get a friend to play ping pong or pickleball with them, whatever they want. But it is usually to start to cultivate friendship as well.
Yeah, it's great when it doesn't have to feel like work, and there's the community aspect, and all of a sudden we're getting wins in multiple categories. And you know, from a food standpoint, obviously you've got a lot of energy excess in the food environment. We've got a lot of processed foods that, hey, they taste great, but they're everywhere. And if we're lacking sleep and stressed out, it's easy to fall into that trap. Obviously not
So
good for longevity. We see all that data around, pre-diabetes, diabetes,
that's
cognitive
one of the
decline. So,
reasons why, as you said, sleep is so important, because even I know what foods are good and bad for me, and am addicted to foods that are good for me. But when I don't get enough sleep, I was on a plane, if you will, and three
travel.
different
Yep.
it was a 13 different time zones, if you will, recently.
Wow.
And you break down and you say, hey, that chocolate bar looks pretty damn good. And you say, I can't believe I'm thinking about that, because I know better. But in any
You're
case, the
human,
point
right?
is that sleep is really key. I'm glad you mentioned that.